What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a Gen 6 Glock 45 here on the table today, and we're going to be doing a first impressions and unboxing of the new Gen 6 Glock. If you guys are tired of watching videos where you guys just want to see the gun itself and not watch just a bunch of guys talking about it, then this video is for you. Today I am filming a tabletop unboxing of the new Gen 6 Glock 45, and we're going to be getting up close with all of the details on the new generation. Alright, so this is my Gen 6 Glock. I am not affiliated with Glock in any way. I paid for this myself. Alright, let's get into the new Gen 6 45. So it comes in your typical standard Glock packaging. You get 3 mags. This is the Glock 45, so you get 3 17-round magazines. Pretty standard. Let's set those off to the side. Also in the box, you get your back straps. I don't typically use these, but I'm sure some of you guys in the comments do. And then you get your optic plates in the box. These are pretty interesting because they sit recessed in the slide. I believe these are optic plates for the RMR, Delta Point Pro, and some of the Seymour optics. Now, the only thing I worry about these optic plates is them being polymer. I do trust Glock. I believe that they actually truly test their products, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Only time will tell with stuff like this. But out of the box, seeing that the plates were polymer, I don't know. I was kind of thinking about how well those recoil lugs are going to hold up over time. Apparently, these act as similar to a crush washer because they sit a little bit elevated out of the slide. So as you guys know, the aftermarket is quick to make products for the Glocks. So I know most of all the companies are probably already on it making metal plates for the Glocks. But you do get polymer plates out of the box for most of the optics you guys plan on running for your Glock. So let's set these off to the side. All right, you get your mag loader. Nobody really uses these, but you do get that in the box. Let's set that off to the side. Of course, you get your lock in the box that nobody uses. Now, getting into the Gen 6 Glock itself, right away you can see the aggressive texture on the frame. This is a mix between the RTF2 and RTF4 grip texture that Glock has combined to make a better overall grip texture on the frame. So Glock knows most of you guys would end up stippling your guns anyways to resemble something similar of this texture. So Glock went ahead and gave it to you right out of the factory. In the hand, it feels good. The texture is aggressive enough that it leaves an imprint on your hand, and that is plenty aggressive for me and how I typically like my stippling. The magazine release seems the same as Gen 5. The edges are beveled, so it's not super sharp when you're pressing onto the magazine release. The magwell looks similar to Gen 5. It's not super flared, but you do get a nice flare on the magwell. As I understand, the Gen 5 magwells do not work on the Gen 6, so you guys are going to have to wait on Gen 6 specific magwells, and I'm sure most companies are already on that. They extended the beaver tail here, and they reduced the distance from the back strap to the trigger for people with smaller hands are going to be able to get a more firm grip on the handgun. I have larger hands, and I do get a more firm grip on the gun, so people with bigger hands are going to appreciate that a lot better as well. You also get a nice thumb rest. I've always known these as accelerator cuts or gas pedals, so it is nice that Glock gave you this out of the factory. I've been seeing a lot of people not liking this feature or saying it's pointless. I've mostly seen a lot of people adding the thumb ledges anyways. So now that Glock did it from the factory, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about how this is useless, this is pointless, that they're not going to use it. Most of the time when I've seen a stippled gun, you guys would add the thumb ledges anyways. If you guys don't want to use it, then don't use it. I also have bigger hands, so my thumb never had a problem using that feature. I also seen somebody say, thumb ledges or gas pedals are useless because you're putting horizontal pressure on the gun, and that's really just not the case. If you guys train to use the thumb ledges properly, and you guys train to master that grip, you're not gonna have any issue. It's the same as any other type of grip style. It is really not that big of a deal. If you don't wanna use it, then don't use it. But I do like how Glock added this from the factory. I personally have always added the thumb ledge on my stipple jobs whenever I would send my guns out, and it's nice to see this from the factory. I do use them. I have bigger hands. My thumb reaches the thumb ledge perfectly. It does help me manage that recoil a little bit better, and it's just something I've grown to be efficient with. It's a nice feature to those that want to use it. If you don't want to use it, just simply don't use it. For the guys that do want to use it or want to mitigate their recoil a little bit better and learn to use a thumb ledge, then it is nice that Glock gave you that from the factory. Another detail, Glock has deepened the slide serrations. They kind of taper off, so they're more aggressive here in the top, and they taper down to being less aggressive the lower you go on the slide. Out of the box, you do get your polymer sights. I did swap these out for my favorite iron sights from Night Vision, and Glock knows you guys are going to swap them out. That's exactly why Glock gives you the polymer sights. I believe most of the law enforcement models will come with the Trijicon or Ameriglow night sights. So you still get the option from the factory to get nice iron sights on your Glock, but for most people, you guys are going to end up swapping them out anyways, and Glock knows that, which is exactly why most of the standard models come with the polymer sights. I already swapped them out. I love these night vision sights, so I don't really care what comes on the gun because I'm going to end up swapping them out for my favorite iron sights anyways. I am waiting on an optic, so I will get a lower 1/3 co-witness with these iron sights, and that is my preference. So there we go. The optic system is different. You guys seen earlier in the video the new wedge plates that come with the gun, kind of wedge down in the slide and sit recessed, and they sit lower, giving you a lower height over bore. Glock was able to achieve that by redesigning the extractor, so now you don't have that traveling through where the optic screws go. So now the optic screws directly into the slide and it sits lower, giving you a more secure mounting interface, which is nice to see from Glock. Also on the frame, Glock has given you a little bit of a palm swell. So the palm swell fills out your hand just a little bit nicer compared to a typical Gen 5. It is kind of hard to notice on camera. You can see a slight bump there where the palm swell would be. In hands, it's not super noticeable, but it does make a very slight difference. If you guys are used to shooting Glocks, when you grab the Gen 6 frame, you guys are going to notice right away how much better it feels in the hands and how much more ergonomic the grip feels, and I feel like a lot of you guys are going to appreciate that. Now, Glock listened to their customers, and a lot of you guys wanted a more ergonomic grip, and here it is with a more aggressive texture. It's what you guys were asking for, and Glock gave it to you. From another noticeable upgrade is the flat face trigger. I do like how this trigger comes with a flat face now. What I don't care for is that rolling break. Look at this. There's the reset. Look at all of that creep past the wall into a break, and then you have all of this extra play on the trigger. I don't believe the trigger is better than a Gen 5. It's definitely not my favorite Glock trigger I've ever felt. I think my favorite Glock trigger I felt from the factory is my 43X. My 43X has such a great trigger. It's a nice, solid wall and such a crisp break on my 43X. But as for the Gen 6 trigger, it's really not the best. I really don't care for a rolling break. And as you guys can see, here's your take up, right? You would think you're at the wall. Nope. A little bit more creep past the wall, and then you finally get to the break. The reset is okay, but that rolling break, look at all that creep past the wall. Look at all this. So you would think you're at the wall right about here, and then you have all of this extra play. There's the break. So just like you guys, I will be upgrading the trigger to most likely a Johnny Glock's Vex 6 trigger kit. I would like to see the Glock Performance trigger come back for the Gen 6. I really like that trigger, and I think it's a fantastic value for your money. So it would be nice to see the Glock Performance trigger come back for the Gen 6. So there you go, guys. That is the Gen 6 Glock 45. It's still your Glock. It shoots just like a Glock. You guys have seen we shot the Gen 6 Glocks at range day, and we had them a little bit earlier on the channel to shoot. Here is a close-up of the grip. The grip feels really good, guys. I mean, anyone that says otherwise, they're just, I don't know, kind of hating on Glock a little bit. This texture feels fantastic. It's not too aggressive, but it's not super slippery. It's like a nice in-between. If you guys want a more aggressive texture, then send it off and get it stippled. So now, is the Gen 6 Glock good enough for all of you guys to run out and sell your Gen 5s? No, I don't believe it is, especially if you guys already have money and time into your Gen 5s. For a lot of you guys that have never got a Glock before or have been holding off on getting a Glock because of the lack of texture and the subpar optic system, well, here you go. There's never been a better reason for you guys to go out and try a Glock. The Gen 6 is a fantastic value. I've seen street price right around $620. As you guys know, Glocks are super reliable. If you guys have been holding off on getting a Glock, I think the Gen 6 is a perfect starting point for you guys to go out and invest in your first Glock. I think the upgrades are fantastic, and it's only going to get better with more of the aftermarket support with the magwells coming out. I've seen some of the companies started making optic plates for the Aimpoint Koa and for the Acro. But is it good enough for you guys to go out and sell all your Gen 5s? No, I don't believe it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned to the future range days of us shooting the Gen 6 on the channel, and I will be comparing and doing a torture test of the Gen 6 versus the Gen 5 to see is the Gen 6 more reliable or less reliable than the Gen 5. Stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.